All right, welcome back to the channel, subscribers. So back at it again. These people keep trying to push, coming to my comment section, putting articles out, doing kind of all this nonsense, trying to talk about Deontay Wilder stepping aside for Tyson Fury. Dude, it ain't gonna happen. David Haye let it be known why he thinks it's not gonna happen. Let's talk about that silliness in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel, man. David Haye, former cruiserweight champion, tells you the truth about Deontay Wilder. He's not the type of dude that is going to step aside from a fight against Tyson Fury because he wants to win the championship. And people that are asking Deontay Wilder or having these conversations about Deontay Wilder skipping out of that fight are just being absolutely ridiculous, and they don't even understand, it seems, what it is and what type of fighters take step-aside money. The fact that you're even mentioning Deontay Wilder in step-aside money is not just, you know, something that's not going to happen. It's a spit in the face, man. It's a spit in the face to a great champion, and anybody saying that, if you don't know that, you should know that and understand what type of fighters and in what circumstances people are willing to step aside, okay? Now, why does Deontay Wilder have to step aside? Or according to these guys, I have no clue. I'm still waiting to hear a good explanation about why in the world Deontay Wilder should step aside from a rematch with Tyson Fury in order for Tyson Fury to do what? Right? You step aside for a fight when there is another fight that is a bigger fight, a more significant fight, and so as a result, a guy is given money, essentially the money that he would have gotten, or close to the money that he would have gotten for the fight, to just step aside and let these two other guys fight. Step aside is used for contenders. It is used for fighters that do not bring a lot of money to the table for fights. Those are the type of guys that step aside. The type of fighters that do not step aside are world champions that reign for 5 years, a top 3 guy, without a doubt, in my opinion, top 2 guy in the heavyweight division. Those type of guys do not step aside because you would be stepping aside you're going to be stepping aside for the same thing or less. You don't ask Errol Spence Jr. If Errol Spence Jr. is scheduled to fight Terrence Crawford, you don't say, if Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford have a rematch and Terrence Crawford loses to Errol Spence Jr., but Terrence Crawford had a rematch clause, you don't tell Terrence Crawford to step aside so that Errol Spence Jr. can fight Danny Garcia. You don't do it. That fight, the Danny Garcia fight against Errol Spence Jr. and the Terrence Crawford fight against Danny Garcia are what type of fights financially. Both Danny Garcia and Terrence Crawford they're both world-class fighters, are both top-level fighters. That's not some situation where you step aside. You step aside, somebody that is a mandatory challenger to somebody could step aside. Like Dominic Breazeale is a step aside. Dominic Breazeale is the mandatory for Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder wants to fight Anthony Joshua. It's Anthony, and so we say, hold on, Dominic Breazeale, you are going to make $400,000 in this fight. So what we'll do is because you get, if it went to purse bids, you would get you would get 25% of the purse as the mandatory, right? Of the purse, if you're mandatory, you would get 25% of that. What we'll do is if you hold on, right? If you hold on for this fight, if you relinquish your mandatory, your right to fight him and agree to have it at a later date, we'll give you $200,000 for that. Right? So now of the big fights, you take $200,000 out of the money that you would have made in the big fight, but still you have Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua fights Everybody around them make a lot of money. The fight winds up doing $100 million. So what is the $200,000? What's the $200,000 step aside money compared to the $100 million that big fight makes? Okay, that's a situation where you step aside where it's reasonable for somebody to step aside. You're not going to step aside to have a smaller fight. You're not going to step aside to have a smaller fight. Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury in the last fight that took place is a bigger fight than the money monetarily is a bigger fight than Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury in Saudi Arabia. Anthony Joshua versus, not in Saudi Arabia, in the UK. Now, if there's somebody that comes out of the pocket and says, well, we'll pay $100 million to see that fight. So okay, maybe, right? Then maybe it becomes a bigger fight, right? If somebody from Saudi Arabia drops $100 million on your head and says, let's make this fight between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. But that's still not step aside because Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury just did close to $100 million. And Deontay Wilder gets 40% in this next fight, 40% of a fight that could do $100 million, which means his team could make $40 million. $40 million. So what's the step aside money are you going to offer Deontay Wilder? You're going to offer him what are you going to offer him? $400,000 to step away from $40 million? What are you going to offer him? $20 million step aside money to step away from $40 million? What sense does that make? That's not a step aside situation. And for any of you guys to even be mentioning step asides in a situation like that, you just come across, I'm not going to say what you come across, but it's highly disrespectful. It's highly disrespectful to the boxer himself. It would be disrespectful, and I would say this the same way if it was Anthony Joshua. If Anthony Joshua, in fact, that was my take when it was Anthony Joshua. Deontay Wilder could not pay Anthony Joshua enough money to get Anthony Joshua to step aside from his fight with Andy Ruiz. So not only did the same people that are talking about this Deontay Wilder step aside stuff, not only did they not say that about Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz, they were right not to say that about Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz because the money makes no sense. Deontay Wilder, the PBC, ESPN, Fox News, whoever it was, or actually it was just Fox. Fox does not have the money to pay that step aside money to Anthony Joshua because it would mean that the fight between Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, between Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz would have been operating at a loss. Period. There's not enough money and there's not enough money on the plate to have Anthony Joshua step aside. So same thing applies for Deontay Wilder. And so when you guys, and I have to suspect that some of you guys understand this, but most of you guys that are bringing this up are just trying to be disrespectful to the man and kick the man. Or, well, no, some of you just don't know what you're talking about. Some of y'all just have no clue. Okay? That's not going to work. If you have a job, you have one job, right? You have a job where or they signed a contract with you and they owe you $40 million. Because that's what that rematch says. You owe me another fight, which means I'm going to make another $40 million. It's not just I'm going to make another $40 million or I'm going to make what this fight is. I'm going to make $40 million. You cannot offer a guy, well, can you not? Yeah, trust me on this $40 million. Just trust me on the $40 million. Take this 100,000, relinquish it, let us out of our responsibility to have the fight, and we promise we'll fight you later. Or I'll give you your money later. Who's gonna take that? It's ridiculous. But then you will retort, well, I thought you said Deontay Wilder wasn't just about all the money. It may not be all about the money, but that money is going to keep Tyson Fury from moving anywhere and doing anything other than what the dude promised. Now, that's the other side of it. I know you guys, many of you guys aren't big on people not, being responsible, being held responsible for cheating. I know you guys aren't big. Some of guys that act like you're Tyson Fury fans aren't big on guys, cheating. You're not big on correcting guys from cheating. You're not big on pointing out, Tyson Fury lying. So I know you don't have any problem with Tyson Fury not actually keeping his promise, a promise that if he had not made it, right, a material part of the agreement, if he had not agreed to that, the fight with Deontay Wilder the rematch with Deontay Wilder would not have happened. Which is, if you believe what Eddie Hearn and these guys say, or actually, if you paid attention to what took place between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, the fight with Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua was not going to happen without a two-way rematch clause. So maybe you guys the people that keep saying this stuff should think for a second about what the type of fighter that is asked to step aside. Deontay Wilder is not the type of fighter that you ask to step aside. He's not that level of fighter in the boxing game. He is a top level, top 2 heavyweight with the rematch clause. You go right back into that. Fight if he says he wants it. Now, if he says that he doesn't want it, that's something completely different. That's on him. But I have a suspicion, just a suspicion. Maybe I'm being paranoid, but I have the suspicion that if Deontay Wilder did say, well, you know what? Go ahead, Tyson, and fight Anthony Joshua. And I'm okay with that. I get the winner, right? I'll get the winner. If he said that, you guys would be calling Deontay Wilder coward. You would say, see, he's scared. He's a quitter. He ducked out of the rematch. It would go from, why don't you just go away, to, oh, you see, he ran away. That's the type of people we're dealing with here, man. You know what I mean? Like he said, I want this fight. You don't really want the fight. Nobody wants to see that rematch. You just want it for the money. You have no chance to win. Just go away. Nobody wants to see it. And then if Deontay Wilder said, well, you know what? Okay. All right. I'll step aside. Give me my $40 million and I'll step aside. And then you guys would be complaining all day and night about it. Either way, Deontay Wilder's in a situation with a lot of people where it's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't, and you just don't care. Anyway, it is what it is, though. The rematch will happen whenever boxing comes back, because Deontay Wilder ain't the type of guy that's going to run from a fight, man. The dude is a fighter. Give the guy his credit, man. At least, if you can't get a guy credit for anything else, at least give the guy credit for being a guy that's willing to fight, man. Because it's obvious that he is, and if you don't see it, man, you're just trying to tear the man down. Anyway, it is what it is, and with that, I'm out. Peace.